Hello again. I'm from Backstage TV and TV Rebel from the Czech Republic. And thank you very much for this opportunity to talk with you for a couple of minutes. I'm not gonna waste your time too much, but I would like to ask a couple of questions. So first, how are you? What are you working on right now? And how do you feel? Or is there any musical business or job you're doing nowadays?
I'm always very busy. I'm getting ready to go play some gigs the next few days with Brandon Gibbs. That's my friend I do the acoustic duo gigs with. And so we're doing a few here in the U.S. And in April, we're going to do a tour of the U.K. And Ireland. So looking forward to that. I just finished a couple of gigs with Broadway's Rock of Ages band and have one coming up with that as well. I have a master class coming up for Rock and Roll Fantasy Camp. That's like a virtual class. And then the actual rock camp itself. And then shooting a couple videos for my upcoming album from my project, Joel Hoekstra's 13, while I'm in LA too, with Vinny Appice and Tony Franklin. Looking forward to doing that. And gosh, let me think what else I have coming up. I mean, of course, the Revolution Saints stuff, all the promos coming out right now for Eagle Flight. The album comes out April 21st. Everybody can check out the first few singles online on YouTube. There's Eagle Flight, and there's Need Each Other and Talking Like Strangers up on YouTube, etc. Or you can stream it anywhere as well. So. And then I got to get song ideas rolling for the project Iconic as well. And in addition to that, I teach about 25 students a week. So
okay.
I always have something going on. Yeah.
Okay, perfect. So I would like to talk about the whole career you've already made, because it's kind of a huge stuff, I would say. And so how it all started. What was your first influence, for example, to pick up the guitar and start learning some chords?
My parents are classical musicians, so they had me on cello and piano at a really young age, and I really wasn't that into it. It wasn't doing anything for me. I was really young, and then I say I was 11, and I heard AC/DC, Back in Black and Angus Young, and that's really the guy that made me want to pick up the guitar and start playing. And so I went to my parents and asked for a guitar, and I think they thought maybe I was going to be Segovia or something. So they thought, oh, great, that sounds fun. And then they heard me playing Paranoid through the home stereo, cranked all the way up to 10, and I think they went, oh no, what have we done? So anyway, that's what got me started. That's what got the rock and roll bug into me, man. AC/DC all the way.
Okay, perfect. And can you tell me something more about the Rock of Ages project? Because if somebody wouldn't know about it, how would you describe your role there? And how was the story, how it all started for you?
Yeah, well, Rock of Ages is a show that they had a couple short runs in Los Angeles and Las Vegas. And then when they brought it to New York City, they needed a rock guitarist for on stage. And so thankfully, I had done some pit stuff, like working in theater, like in the pits, and I knew the music supervisor, Ethan Pop, from the show Tarzan, and he hired me basically just off of remembering that there was a rock guy who did the stuff. And so that show ran on Broadway, off-Broadway and Broadway for over 6 years. So that was 8 shows a week during that time, and I was also playing with Night Ranger during that time in Trans-Siberian Orchestra. So what that did is that allowed me to be able to tour and come back home and have 8 shows a week whenever I was home. It was very easy to sub out. I had like a list of 6 or 7 subs that would fill in for me on the show. So that was a period of a lot of playing. And then the show closed eventually. And a couple of the guys licensed the logo, and they put the band together, and we just go out and we call it Broadway's Rock of Ages Band, and we play basically the full-length versions of the song. So it's kind of like just hearing all these guys. Now, we all have other gigs. Tommy Kessler, the other guitar player, plays a Blondie, and our bass player, Winston White, plays a Soul Asylum, and, another one of the bass guys, Hal Seltzer, plays a Joan Jett. And so everybody's got their gigs and stuff like that, but we come together and we do basically just like for fun, play through all the songs from the show. And so you get to kind of hear all these people from these bands come together and kind of play a cover set, basically. It's fun, just fun stuff.
Okay. And so how was your first step into that, I would say, first league? Because the list of the great artists you've already cooperated with, it's just huge, like, of course, David Coverdale, we're going to talk about Whitesnake as well, of course, and Russell Allen, one of my favorite singers, Cher, of course, and all these guys. So what was the first, kick through the door for you, to the first league, I mean, when you start being a professional musician?
Yeah, I mean, it's really hard to identify exactly when that happened. Around the Chicago area where I was, growing up, I was teaching like 70 students a week, and I would play gigs with my band, and then getting in Kathy Richardson's band there, who sings for Jefferson Starship these days, was a cool thing. She had quite a popular Chicago area local band, and so that was a nice step up. And then at that point, she got the role of Janis Joplin in a show called Love Janis, and that went to New York, and I was the guitarist in that show, and that ran for a couple of years out here. So that was really the first time where I was no longer doing the teaching. I was just playing 8 shows a week and became kind of a full-time performer. So that was a big step. And through Kathy also playing with Jim Peterick's World Stage Band, that allowed me to play with a lot of people in his house band with a lot of people, like Rick Emmett and Alan Parsons, Don Barnes from 38 Special, Kip Winger, just a lot of names. Kevin Cronin from REO Speedwagon. And one of the people that did it every year was Kelly Kagi from Night Ranger. So when there was an opening in the band, that kind of got my foot in the door. I talked to Kelly. I did a gig with them, and that was basically my audition, And so then, kind of moving from all that stuff, having Love Janis, and I had kind of done some oldies stuff in between, too. I was doing that show and playing with the Turtles and with Big Brother and the Holding Company, and then eventually, Night Ranger happened right around the time Scrap Metal, which was the Nelson Twins, Mark Slaughter and Kelly from Night Ranger. So, and then Rock of Ages got added, Trans-Siberian Orchestra got added, and then Cher Whitesnake got added, and then Cher got added. So it's just kind of like, it's just been a lot of steps. It's really hard to identify any one moment where it all happened for me.
And so, okay, so let's go to the Whitesnake stuff, because I'm a huge fan of Whitesnake, since I was a child. And for me, that would be something like the biggest dream is coming true, to play with David Coverdale and to play these songs, which are just amazing. So it was 2014, am I right? When you started, playing with Whitesnake. And so how was the first impression of David Coverdale and being in a band in general? What it meant for you then at the time?
So it went really well. I mean, I had sent some videos of Night Ranger and things like that to Rev and said, hey, can you forward this on to David and get me an audition? And I didn't hear anything at first, and then I thought, who would know him that can get me an audition? And I had filled in for Mick Jones and Foreigner back in 2011, and Foreigner's manager, Phil Carson, came to mind as, a Brit, and I thought, I bet he knows David. And so Phil wrote David a nice email and got me an audition, basically. And David and I really got along, because I think he knew how much I respected the situation. I really wanted it, and I think that was appealing to him, not some guy who thought he was too cool or something. I want to do this, man, and what do you need? Like, I want this gig. I want to do it. I'm right for it. And so we got along really well. We still do. We still have a good relationship. I get along great with David. So he's been a great boss, and I likely will continue working with him for the unforeseeable future, whatever he chooses to do, whether it be get back out there on the road or record or whatever he wants to do. I'm going to be there and support him. I'm really thrilled to have the friendship I have with him, and to be a small part of the history. I mean, it's a long history of the band. I'm not delusional and think that I'm all that important to the history of Whitesnake, but it's I've been there 8 years or something like that. It's a decent chunk of time. It's more or less like just excitement over being a small part of that legacy. That's quite a history of that brand. I don't know how many years we're going on here, almost 50 or something like that.
Something like that, yeah, and it's just amazing.
So that's the deal there. I think no one's really exactly sure where we're headed at this point in time, but it's it's all good. Like I'm in touch with David, and he's he's a dear friend and just a wonderful guy.
I have to say, I saw you in Prague when you were there in, I think it was last year or something like that. And that was the day when Reb went ill. And so you were the only guitar player there for that evening. Yeah. But it was amazing, I know what it means because I'm also an active musician, of course, in a very different level. But anyway, so it was great gig, and I really enjoyed it a lot because I could enjoy your playing, of course. Yeah. And it was so cool. So I was about to ask about the recording process of Flesh and Blood, because I think the album is amazing. It's after many years, it's like fresh and powerful, and the band sounds much younger for me than the later albums or earlier albums. I mean, which I also love. But here I feel some spark again. So. How was the recording process? How was the creating of the songs and also the recording and stuff like that? Do you have any special memories about the recording?
Well, I mean, it was really an honor that David let me be a part of the songwriting. And, honestly, most of the song ideas were something where David would have a chorus. This is generally like the way things would go. And then kind of like, can we build it off from there? And we usually have separate area where we kind of hash out arrangements. So whether that just be David and myself or Reb and David or the three of us, we would kind of hash out the arrangement, and then Reb and I would go into the studio and kind of cook up the official demo of it and get that out to everybody so everybody could learn it and get ready to actually record the song. But yeah, it was cool to be a part of the writing process. David didn't have to do that. He's like I said, he's been very generous. He could have said, like, you're new, you're not welcome to join. Reb's been here a long time, but he included me. So, he's always been so cool to me. It's been a really nice, pleasant surprise. I guess I don't want to say surprise because I wasn't thinking he was going to be mean, but it's just really been great. My working relationship with David's been awesome.
Mm-hmm. And so how is that for you to have a lady on bass in the band? I mean, Tanya, because she's great looking, great playing, just amazing person, as we can see from the crowd behind you. But is that like, can you do something like, yeah, dude, it was great? Or are you more like a gentleman, like, ladies first?
Oh, no, she can hang with the boys, man, Tanya kicks ass, first off. She's a great bass player. She's not in there for her looks, man, It's like, it's not just some beautiful girl that can't play bass. She grooves her ass off, and she plays great fucking bass, man. So, for me, that's what it's about. From there, obviously, it's the concept of having somebody that has a cool image for Whitesnake, right? I mean, David likes players that can kind of be stars in their own right to a degree. And in that regard, she's an absolute perfect fit. The only question was, this is going to be the first female member of Whitesnake. And, does that work? Does the fan base embrace it? But, man, all you got to do is really listen to her play and then, like, watch her play one gig. And it's like, oh, she's a star, to me, she's amazing. The first time I saw her play, I was like, that girl's a star. I saw her play somewhere else, and I went right up to her after and told her. I said, you're a star. And she was always in my head as like, it's somewhere along the line, work with her on something. I just didn't realize it would be Whitesnake. But, consequently, she definitely made the list of the, of the possible solutions, when we needed a bass player, was Tanya, but David wouldn't have hired her if she couldn't play, man. So, anybody I think she's just in there because she's got, great looks is wrong, dead wrong.
I just checked out when the news went on that she's going to be the new bass player of Whitesnake. I've just checked out a couple of videos of hers, some playing through and stuff like that, and I was like, wow, it's amazing. But I was thinking, is the atmosphere in the band different for you, for example? Like, are you taking care.
No, she could hang with everything. Yeah, I mean, you could still tell all the dirty jokes and everything like that, and she could hang with everything. Yeah, Tanya's like, she's great, man. She's really, really cool, and there was never any kind of like, I don't know, any of that male female, like, I don't think anybody went there kind of thing, like, oh, I want to pursue her or something like that. We were all just friends, she's cool. And like, to me, it felt just like having a male bass player. It was, there was really no difference. We still told all the dirty jokes on the bus.
Okay. And how's the cooperation with Tommy Aldridge? Because I seen his drum solo, and man, he rocks as hell at his age. It was just amazing. We were like blown away totally, from that. So,
yeah.
How is he?
Tommy's a legend. Tommy's a legend, man. I mean, it's cool to be a part of his history too, everything he's done for rock drumming, so, like I'll say about Angus Young, one of the great showmen of all time with rock. I mean, so is Tommy Aldridge. That his solo playing with his hands and everything like that gets the crowd like as much as like our big songs, to be honest. I mean, he'll finish doing that, people go crazy. His hair's flailing everywhere, and he's just a fucking rocker, man. I love him, and he's a cool guy to boot. He never cops any attitude about I've done this and that and you're just this or that. We're all like in the battle together, and he's always treated me respectfully. And now we're doing the Iconic project together too, so we worked a little bit with that on the outside of Whitesnake too. So he's cool, man. He's a legend. Just like being in the band with David, a couple of your friends are legendary rock guys at that point.